Now that we've covered several ways of defining CSS selectors, we need to understand what happens when multiple selectors resolve to the same element and how an element can get inherit roles from its parent. Remember when we said that you should not worry about the cascading part in the previous lesson? Well, for now, at this moment, you will need to worry about cascading. Most CSS rules once apply to an element and are also applied to all the children of that element and to their children and to theirs ad infinitum. So there are exceptions, notably the layout properties like margin, padding, position, width, etc. And the decorative properties like border, background, and others do not cascade. So this cascading of a CSS properties from parent to child is also called inheritance. So generally, inheritance is a good thing. So do you want the whole page to use your corporate approved web font? So like this CSS rule here. So there is no need to apply the same font family property to each and every tag using tag use within the page. So, however, sometimes inheritance can be a bad thing. An element may suddenly display in a way that you weren't expecting, and you can't find any relevant CSS rule for that element. So in this case, one likely culprit is a CSS rule that has been inherited from a parent. Inheritance can be explicitly leveraged. So many CSS properties accept the value of inherit, which means to inherit the value from the parent. So by smartly leveraging inherit, you can reduce repetition in your CSS rules and make your project easier to maintain. In this example, we see a paragraph with children and grandchildren. So paragraph being the parent and tags like spans and quote as its children. And it turns out that the quote tag has its children as well, as it encloses tag like span within. So we cannot really see the children here since there is no proper indentation in this example. So a CSS rule is applied to the paragraph that sets the font family to be monospace, and the padding is set to 40 pixel. So note that in the result, the font family is applied to all children, while the padding is only applied to the paragraph itself, so it is not inherited. And none of its children inherit the padding, so only the font family. So what if you want the children to inherit the padding property from the parent? So we add another CSS rule here. So this one instructing that the padding for spans and Q or quote elements should be inherited from the parent. So we add this value here, inherit, to the padding property, and this is the result. So we see here that the padding is very evident to the children. Not only that the paragraph, the whole paragraph has padding, but also the children as well. So which rules are inheritable? There is no reliable rule for which CSS properties are inheritable by default and which are not. However, generally, the properties associated with positioning and layout are not inherited. Likewise, the decorative properties like borders, background images, and others do not inherit as well. So most properties that begin with text or font inherit.